Okay, I think we're live now. Let me know if we have any issues with the audio or video. Those of you that are just joining us, or this is your first time here on the live streams, we normally do diagnostic videos or repair videos or building stuff videos, but today we are going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about maybe some goals for the new year, some stuff that I have in the works right now, and also some stuff for training. Now, a lot of people, when they do their New Year's resolutions, it's which I have some of those as well. It's get into shape, save money. But I kind of broke mine down this year into multiple different sections. I have personal goals, financial goals, work related goals. That's me personally as an employee, and then business related goals that is for the business as a whole, not just my part as a mechanic or technician at the business, but building the business itself. So real quick, we'll go over the personal goals. I know. Oh, the voice is off. Yeah, for some reason the video is lagging. Give me 1 sec. I'll see if I can correct that.
Did you see the comment about your audio in your mouth? Sorry, I can't hear you. Got headphones in?
Give me 1 minute. Do we have audio at all now? We should have some sort of audio.
There we go.
Now it's working?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have some audio. It's still going to be out of sync for whatever reason. But it's all right. I'm only going to keep my myself on full screen for a minute, and then I'll disappear. So we only have to watch it for a second. So some of my personal New Year's resolutions, the same as what everybody else has, is lose some weight. I eat entirely way too much fast food, and I don't know. I need to quit, or at least reduce that. In a busy lifestyle like mine, it's normally just more convenient. It's not that I don't want to eat healthy; it's just a convenience thing. Fast food, 2 to 3 times a day, or 5 or 6 times a day, depending on how the mood is and how busy I am and how late I'm working. Um, Beyond that, we want to get out more. Me and Valerie used to go out in the mountains all the time. Now it seems like we're too busy with work and school and YouTube and our property that we don't get out and about nearly as much as we used to. And then one of my third goals for for my personal goals is to be nicer to people. I'm not always the nicest. Like, I'm fairly nice, but like even if I have a bad day, I'm not always nice to Valerie. Like, I'll snap or say something mean, and we don't mean to, you know, be mean to people sometimes, but it just takes our it takes all of our patience at work, and sometimes we're just so burned out and stressed out from that we just kind of lose ourselves. And sometimes it's just small remarks that, or just the tone of my voice or inflection when I say stuff. That's kind of it for my personal goals. Financial goals, that's also a common goal for people. One of mine is reduce debt. As a mechanic, you know, we all end up with tool debt, whether that's credit card or the tool truck. Snaps you right in half. Yep. Sometimes I feel that way, Valerie. So what I would like to do this year is, I've already started working on my budget and realizing where I spend way too much money. And I would like to be completely debt free, except for my mortgage at the end of the year. And that's going to lead me into the next couple of years. A couple years ago, we had a different house. Actually, I bought that house in 2006 or 2007. I can't remember. I think it was 2006. And I paid like 80,000 for that house, and it had a nice 2-car garage, concrete floor, oversized 2-car garage. So it had 2 separate doors, and it was pretty nice to work in, but it was still kind of cramped. I am sorry, Valerie. I truly am. I don't mean to snap. But my garage was nice. I painted a couple of my vehicles in there. I built my Toyota Hilux in there. The house was small. It's around 800 square feet. The lot was small, but I never realized how nice a small lot was. I had very little grass. I had a small patch of grass. I fenced in an area for my dogs. I built a gravel parking lot in the back for like all of my vehicles, all my spare vehicles, and it was really nice to have. Plus, we were like 4 or 5 blocks away from downtown, so every parade and festival we could walk to. We didn't have to worry about parking. We didn't have to worry about if we went downtown and drank a few beers driving back home. That was super convenient. But we didn't have a lot of space. So what we did is, my grandma had a house. She moved to another house because this house that we're in now became too much work for her. And we started cleaning it up, and I ended up buying it from her. So the house I'm in now is actually smaller. It's like 700 square feet, and it was built in like the 1880s, and then it was moved to this location from a coal mine, and it's pieced together. It's been moved, like nothing's laid out nicely. Plus, only 700 square feet. It does have a basement, but that's all utility stuff. It's not the easiest to work with. The benefit of this piece of land is it's 5 acres. Plus, we have irrigation water. We've done a lot of work to the property. We've done a lot of cleanup work. We've planted a vineyard, which we became overwhelmed with, and we didn't really take care of it that much last year. So I do want to work on the vineyard a little bit better. The first couple years I lived here, the property was in better condition, weed free. We mowed all the time. No, I'm not actually in the shop. In front of the green screen, and this feed defaulted to this picture of the shop, so I'm not actually in the shop. And seen Lego houses built better. Yeah, when I remodeled, I had to remodel before I could get finance for it. So we did an owner carry through my grandma. We put a bunch of money into it. I think I had to raise the floor in the kitchen, jack it up from underneath the house like 3 inches. That's how much it had settled at one point. And we put like 10 or 15,000 into the house just to make it livable and functionable for us. And I don't want to put a lot of money into the house because it's so small. It doesn't have a garage. The property doesn't have a garage at all. It has an old adobe barn, but it has like 3 different bays of the barn, and none of them are big enough to park a car in. So that doesn't work for me. We do have a couple of outbuildings. I did bring in a shipping container just to put all my stuff because I was used to having a garage. But the big thing is the 5 acres. So we have a 5 acre lot now that is irrigated. We have irrigation water, which in some parts of the country, especially Colorado, is unheard of. A lot of places don't have irrigation water. So what I want to do is I want to build a very large shop with a house. And in order to make that happen, I'm going to have to reduce my spending, my needless spending, so that we can make that happen. So I think that's most of what my financial goals are and where they're heading is get out of debt, get this property, the house paid off that we're in now, so that we can build a new large garage, either with a house attached to it or living space in the garage, that would be nicer than here. And then when I say a large garage, what I'm thinking in my head is a minimum 40 by 80. Now, I know a lot of people, a 24 by 24 garage is a big garage, but I'm used to working in a shop that our workspace in the shop is 50 feet deep by 100 feet wide. So I think if I have a 40 by 80 shop and I convert part of that to a living space or have the house attached to the garage, then I can set up my live stream studio completely and leave it set up in the garage, and it'd make a lot of my projects a lot easier, because right now when we set up our live streams in the shop, it takes us anywhere from 3 to 6 hours depending on technical difficulties, which includes audio sync issues like right now. Normally we test out the stream before we go live, and I didn't do that this time just because it's getting late and I know people are wanting to go party and do their celebrating thing if you're into that. Pico, it's probably already the new year for you and everyone else. The ball, no, I think maybe you have another hour left. But yeah, most of you are probably getting ready for the countdown in 50 minutes. You know, we in Colorado we still have almost 4 hours. What else? So my work goals. Now this is for me as an employee. I want to do more training. My goals are to do in-class training once a month, where I go to a CarQuest, Napa, O'Reilly class once a month, sit down for the evening and take a class. I want to do online training at least once a week. And when I say online training, I'm not talking YouTube. YouTube is a excellent source for case studies, learning something you're unfamiliar with, but at the same time, sometimes the planned curriculum by a institution or CarQuest, those guys have people that are on the payroll that all they do is create curriculum, and they have case studies in there as well. So my online training is going to include Subaru University. I'm signed up for that because I work at a school where our students are capable of being signed up for that. So I signed myself up for that. I've got to work through that program and become a certified instructor for it. Napa online training, and then I've seen some of the TST seminars, and there's a few other ones out there as well. But my primary ones that I'm going to work on right now are the Subaru and the Napa training classes. Another thing for me personally I want to do is get some more ASEs. I have 50 minutes until midnight. Yeah, I knew you guys were getting pretty close out there. So right now I have my ASE A1 through A9. So to be master certified, you have to have 1 through 8, and then A9 is the light duty diesel one. And I think last time I checked, when I first got mine, there was only like 12,000 people in the country that had got that certificate. I think that's getting closer to 20,000 now. Not every shop works on diesel. I only had to study a little bit for that test, and even then, some of the questions I'm like, well, I've never even done this on a vehicle, so the study guide didn't prepare me 100%. But I think I still got in the mid 80s on the test, so got that one. I also got my G1. Now, if you haven't heard of the G1 test, that is the kind of the general. It takes questions from like 3 different tests, and I can't remember if it was 1, 5, and 8. It's the steering, suspension, the chassis, and the steering, suspension, chassis. There's brakes. There's one other one. I can't remember which. It might be engine performance. A little bit of that. So that is a very good test to. I think that most entry-level techs should be able to get that, but not all of them have the experience. Like the G6. Valerie's on the couch behind me, trolling me in the comments. Automotive seminars. I haven't heard of that one. But online training is excellent. Now, I just found out recently that the Napa Autotech website, part of their training curriculum is they do have training for the ASE test. So I just registered myself for the L1, which is the Advanced Engine Performance and Diagnostics. I was a little worried about it because of emissions. I don't have a lot of emissions testing in my area. I'm not 100% fluent in the 5-gas analyzer. So I was a little unsure if I wanted to take that test without studying or learning the smog stuff. And then the L3 test, which I didn't even know they had an L3 test, but PJ over at Voltage Drop Diagnostics just got his certificate for the L3, and that's the advanced hybrid class. So I may study into that one. I mean, I don't work on a lot of hybrids. I've done like 3 battery packs over the course of my career, and that's the extent of it. Like, never had to pull apart an inverter, never even had to pull apart a transmission on one. Honestly, they are some of the most reliable vehicles, except for the battery pack and the 12-volt battery. That's really all I've had to replace. John Thornton and Eric Ziegler. So it's probably a pretty good course. I think that both of those individuals were training at the Super Saturday event in Pennsylvania. Also at work, I want to decrease distractions. The problem nowadays is we all have cell phones. Being that I'm on YouTube, now I don't Facebook very much, but YouTube, I try to answer people's comments. And honestly, I've been so busy the last couple days that I haven't answered anyone's comments since like last week, and I feel kind of bad, but I just haven't had time to get there. I think tomorrow is when I'm going to sit down and answer comments and questions on YouTube. Facebook, 90% of my time spent on Facebook is non-productive. So I don't spend a lot of time on there anyways. I've kind of quit using Instagram and Twitter. So the biggest thing is just being productive while being at work, trying to stay motivated, finding out ways to get more motivated. It seems like once you get in a lull, you just, your whole day is kind of shot. You're sometimes your week, your month, and you just got to get out of that slump. The other day we went in. Was that this morning? Man, this week's flying by. We're only 2 days in, but feels like a really long week that's flown by. We were in there this morning just picking up stuff, and it's like we had momentum going, and it's like, oh, it's like almost time to start work because we go in a couple hours early, and it's like, we're trying to get all this cleaning done, and we were really motivated to clean. It's like, oh, I wish we could postpone work just so we could clean. So sometimes you get in a roll on something, and then other times it's just really hard to get moving. And honestly, when it's really hard to get moving, you just got to put this away. One other thing that I try to do to decrease distractions, go on Facebook to gossip. Yeah, I don't comment very often. I'm just kind of a lurker in the background. I will type out a comment, and then I'll wait a couple minutes to find out if I really want to post it. And 90% of the time I delete it because I rethink it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to put that. But depending on your shop policy, a lot of people are against it. Some people are for it. I listen to audiobooks or music, or recently even videos in my headphones. So I'll either put regular earbuds in with my iPod and listen to an audiobook, and 90% of the time I'm listening to an audiobook I've already listened to before. So if I have to pull the earbud out, it's not a big deal. And recently I started listening to YouTube videos in the background, or YouTube music, and I just use Bluetooth earbuds. Hey, Orville. Just talking about New Year's stuff and personal goals. So some shops don't allow earbuds or listening to music. I can understand the music part. We do listen to music in the shop at times. We try to keep the volume down low. We don't run multiple radios. If I'm running my radio on, there's a guy a couple bays down that will run a different country music or our local station. And then I'm normally running Pandora. But since I started using the Bluetooth headphones, I typically don't even run that anymore. My brother will sometimes run music from his, but we make sure that it's something that's not going to offend customers if they do by chance hear our music. And we keep it down low. It's not like it's blaring in the shop. I've been in some shops where I'm like, how can you guys even hear what you're doing? I couldn't hear an impact running because your music's so loud. When you fire up a vehicle, how do you know if it's knocking or making a weird noise? I don't think I could do that. But an earbud I don't have a problem with. If the guys are wearing earbuds in my shop, they're only allowed to wear one. We had issues in the past where it was, you try to talk to somebody and they would have to take out one or the other earbud because they were wearing both. So the rule is you can wear one earbud. If someone comes over to talk to you, take it out or pause your music, whatever you got to do so that you can hear what's going on. So I find that listening to audiobooks keeps my mind less distracted by what's around me. Now I do, since I'm the shop foreman, I do have to walk around, make sure other people don't need help. But sometimes I just have to focus on what I'm doing and get through it. If I'm down there working late at night, then I normally just turn music on over my stereo system, and I will turn it up a little bit louder, but the doors are locked. I'm not worried about people coming in and being offended by the music. So less distractions, increased productivity. Right now, it varies for me. It's hard for me to track how many hours I'm there, but I'm about 80 to 85% efficient on my productivity in the shop. But at the same time, I'm also helping other people helping other people figure out their problems, figuring out where their parts are. And my dad does the same thing. He doesn't work in the shop as a technician anymore, but he's the runner pretty much. Fixes everyone's problems, puts out fires all over the place. He only play offensive music. There are shops that their clientele, that type of music is appropriate for the situation. Unfortunately, at our shop, it is not appropriate. We have a wide range of clientele, and a lot of it is older people, retirement age. So we have to keep it, pretty mellow. Um, be more organized. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen in the live streams, but I am not organized one bit. My cart is a disaster. This cart behind me, where is it at? Over here? Um, yeah, all the stuff that was on that cart is probably on the floor just out of frame when I took that picture. I highly doubt that I put everything away. The hutch on the toolbox is closed because it is probably brimmed full of stuff. Now, I did clean off the toolbox the other day, cleaned off the hutch, cleaned off the cart. I didn't make it through my bench. So it's kind of I'm unorganized. I throw stuff back. I don't put it away. I need to work on that because not only does it look unprofessional if someone comes in and sees just junk laying all over the place, it's dirtier. It is less productive. And I've also found over the last couple of years, our shop has become dirtier, and now people still come in and they say that, oh wow, your shop's so clean, but it's not to the level that it was before. We don't have painted floors. We have concrete floors. We used to, a couple times a year, pull everything out of the shop, scrub the floors, clean the walls down, and we haven't done that in a couple years, and it's past due. So that is coming. My employees typically don't watch my videos or my live streams, so they don't know it yet, but we are probably going to have a Friday afternoon or a Saturday of just cleaning the shop. Carm, yeah, I listen to him sometimes, but I typically want to hear what he's saying, and it seems like as soon as I put Carm on the radio, somebody comes over and asks me a question, or someone's making a lot of noise and I can't listen to it. So Jay over at Welding Junkie, I don't think he's in here today. For some reason, he always comes in the live stream like at the last 5 minutes, but I send him pictures occasionally of my toolbox because it's so disorganized. And he's joked around that I'm not allowed in his shop because he doesn't want me to destroy it. So that's it for my personal work as an employee goals or resolutions. Now for the business, my parents own the business. I'm the shop foreman. We have 2 service writers. We have 4 other technicians. One of them is my brother. So as being part of the business or the management part of the business, I want to step up and do more work on the business instead of for the business. And that's kind of a common term in our industry, to spend your efforts instead of turning wrenches or doing all the legwork and running around, is finding ways to make your business more efficient, finding ways of delegating work out more smoothly. Another thing I need to do is I need to do performance evaluations. I'm kind of a pushover when it comes to them. We try to do them every year. Sometimes it happens every other year. They're typically followed up by a bonus of some sort. But I need to do at least annually, if not twice a year, do the performance evaluations. I also need to encourage training more in my shop. Now, we're one of the few shops that does encourage a lot of training. I go out of my way to find training, put the schedule up on the board, put it on the calendar in the bathroom. We posted a calendar right above the urinal, just for one, to mark when people are off, so they know that, okay, somebody's off on this date, I can't take that day off. We don't allow people to overlap unless it's an emergency. Plus, we put all the training dates on there. I want to improve. Well, one more thing on the training. I'm debating on whether or not I want to make it a mandatory thing. If I make it mandatory, then I'm going to have to pay my technicians to be there. if we go by the labor laws. But it's been discussed of making the technicians not attend every class, but we'll just say that they have to have 24 hours of training every year. And really, that's not that bad. That would be, most of the CarQuest classes are an 8-hour class. They're 2 4-hour periods, and sometimes they'll do a 4-hour class. So I don't think 20 or 24 hours is anything unreasonable. But I am going to, I'd probably, if I require it, I'll have to pay them for their training. I want to improve workflow from top to bottom. From the service writers bringing the customers in, which I don't have a whole lot of control over, but I'm trying to influence that part of it. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of experience on the service writing part. I'm not a counter guy. When people ask me for prices, I tell them I don't do prices. I just fix them. I diagnose them. So I bring them up front and I give all the information to our service writer and he can build an estimate. But we do need to fix a few things that cause headaches, bog down the workflow. Now, another thing I'm unsure about is digital inspections. And the sexy calendar that Valerie's referring to is sexy pictures of the mechanics. No, but I will pay your way to do training. I won't pay you to do training, but I will sign you up for as much training as you want, Valerie. So digital inspections, we started doing them several years ago, and we kind of quit doing them because they took more time than writing stuff out on paper. Now, the software we were using, we've used bolt-on technologies for a while in their early years, but I had Auto Vitals way before that, and we still have Auto Vitals, and we're trying to start using it again. I think what I need to do is I need to go through and reevaluate our inspections. I need to build the canned jobs into the computer so when the technician is doing the inspection, they can just push the button on the tablet, and then when the service writer imports that inspection, it automatically adds all that stuff to a sub-estimate in the software. Now, we are using Napa Trax software. From what my little bit of use that I use it, I don't care for it a whole lot. It does the job, but there's a lot of features that I'm like, why doesn't it do this or why doesn't it do that? And I know that Mitchell or Shopkey does some of those things better. And there's a lot of third-party companies or independent companies, smaller companies that do a good job as well. So Pico, did you notice that it takes you a lot longer to do a digital inspection than a regular hand form? Now, obviously, you're going to be a lot more detailed with the pictures. It's going to be more accurate. It's going to be more consistent between technicians. But we had an overflow of oil changes the other day. 2 different customers showed up at the wrong time. So I think we had a total of 4 oil change waiters at the shop. And I had just got done with a vehicle, or I had just showed up for work because I would teach in the morning. And I was like, I'll just do that oil change. And I got that oil change done faster than both of my other techs that had started oil changes before. And I had probably 10 or 15 recommendations, and I just wrote them down on paper. But if I did it on digital, I feel like that same oil change would have taken me 10 minutes longer, maybe 15, to enter the data in. And that could be just because I don't have the presets built into the digital inspection. So also our tablets are out of date. We had 3 iPad mini 1s. They no longer support those. Those are out. We have 3 Samsung tablets that are on the verge of being obsolete. And then I have a 2018 iPad, my personal one. My brother has an iPad Pro, that's his personal one. So if I want to get the whole shop on board again, then I'm going to have to buy a whole bunch of tablets and get those going again, because without the tablets you can't really do the inspection. You can't take pictures. I believe some Samsung phones you can install the software on, but it's really inconvenient to have that tiny little screen and do the inspection. Pico has AutoServe. It doesn't seem that great because of your service management system. Lancar. I haven't even heard of that. Huh. I think that Michael Berg over at the Flat Rate Master uses Protractor. I think that's what he's using. Maybe it's RO Writer. But every single technician has access to the SMS system, and they write up their own estimates and type in all the information themselves. And then the service writer gets it, touches up the phrasing to better suit the customer, and finishes the final touches on the estimate and calls the customer. I don't know. We haven't figured out a way to make our technicians do the estimates. We are not a commissioned shop. We are an hourly shop, and it seems like it's more common in the commission shops for the technicians to write their own estimates. So I'm not sure if we're going to go full in on the digital inspection or not. Another thing I need to do is reorganize our shop tools. We have my dad's toolbox with a side cabinet full of tools. We have a second toolbox full of scan tools, scopes, smoke machine. Side cabinet is full of other tools, a lot of specialty Volkswagen, Volvo, BMW tools. We do work on Euro, we work on diesel, we work on pretty much anything automotive. We don't work on a lot of heavy duty or medium duty trucks. We work on some, but we try not to do a whole lot. So I need to kind of go through and reorganize all those tools, make sure nothing's broken, because anyone that works in a shop, you know that tools get broken, they get put back in the box, put away, or you forget they're broken, you forget to tell somebody, or you come in and the management or the boss or your helper has cleaned up your tools and put them away, and they didn't notice the tool was broken. Hey Corey, don't worry, I got plenty more to go. You're not completely late. So I need to go through, verify everything is complete, reorder stuff that is missing, get stuff warranted that is broken. Also, our shop supplies. We have 2 rows of shelves that are probably 15 to 20 feet long, full of shop supplies, nuts and bolts, coolant. We have probably 6 cabinets throughout the shop full of stuff. By our lube rack, we have another 10 feet of shelving full of oil and filters and specialty stuff. We probably stock 3,000 gallons of oil. We go through a lot of oil. Our shop does provide scopes. We have, for shop tools, diagnostic tools, we have, I guess one of the Picos belongs to my father. So that's a shop tool. It's normally next to my cart just in case I need another one. And we have a Modus Ultra. We have an old brick. The Modus has a scope. We have, is that the only scope the shop has? Oh, we have the Vantage Pro. So for the shop, we have 2 snap-on scopes, the Modus and the Vantage. And then, yeah, the Vantage. We also have an old OTC. We have some really old other scopes. We have a Counselor 2. No, the Counselor 1. The Counselor 2 broke. So we have some older scopes. And then we also have 3 or 4 other snap-on scanners that don't have scopes. A couple of Ethos and a couple of Solus scan tools. Yeah, my audio's off, but I didn't want to have to restart everything and try to sync it back up. Here in a minute, we're going to go over onto the screen and talk about training. So I have my own scanners. I have a Modus Edge, a Zeus, a Launch Diagon, plus the J2534 stuff, and then a Picoscope. So I want to organize all the shop supplies, all of our oils, filters, fluids. And then for the shop, I don't know what your guys' average ROs are. A lot of people don't worry about it. We've never really worried about it. We just try to do an honest repair job for the customers. And we do a lot of oil changes as well. And like right now, I think we fluctuate around an average RO of 400. Now, some people say, oh, what's your profit? I don't know what our profit is on that. Our average is about 2 hours per ticket. But we just had, like a 6 or 7 hour injector job today. And we also probably did 5 or 6 oil changes. So it kind of bounces all over the place. No, I won't be able to make it out there in March. I don't think we'll be able to make it out there until October again. My schedule is just kind of too crazy. And then we are a Napa Auto Care Center, and there's several reasons we did it. For one, we have a Napa store half a block away, so Napa is our first call, anyways. With the Napa Auto Care Center, we get better warranty. I think by default we have a 24/24 warranty. Some of that's only 12/12 in town, and if the customer's out on the road, some of that expands to 36/36. So it's kind of a weird. Some stuff's longer warranty than others, but we are working on becoming a Napa Auto Care Gold member. That's been a long process, overdrawn out. We started doing it over a year ago, year and a half ago. It was August of 18 when we started. But the person that was handling our account got promoted. They brought someone else in. They lost all of our paperwork. And we kind of had to start over. We had to put a new sign up. So I'm hoping that here shortly we can get that all taken care of. Becoming an Napa Auto Care Gold member costs us more money every year. But Pro Demand and our Napa Tracks is now free. So it comes out as a wash. You know, it'll be actually cheaper to become a gold member. And our in-town warranty on every repair becomes 36/36. So I think that's a very beneficial thing to add. Plus we get free training for 3 or 4 techs in the shop to all the Napa Auto Care stuff. So, you know, we're still working on it. It hasn't quite happened yet, but hopefully here soon we'll get that taken care of. So Napa Auto Pro. So it's probably real similar to the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to jump onto the computer. I'm going to show you a few things that I've done recently. Some of them have been based off of the podcast, off of Carm. I can't pronounce his last name, but let me see. I started tracking all of my training, and I got to switch screens here. So someone recommended on one of the Car Talk radio shows that they were tracking employee training. So I haven't found a layout that I like, but I started just kind of punching it in until I find a layout that I do like for tracking all of my employees. But I started tracking my own training, and I went back as far as I could remember. Let me see here. Capriato? Is that how you pronounce it? I think that's what you're what you're typing. So Carm Capriato. Okay. So over here, let me make myself a little smaller. We have just a spreadsheet that I found on one of the themes from Excel. It was an educational credit tracker. I punched in all of my old CarQuest books. I didn't have the exact dates that I went to the class, but I punched in the year that the book was made, or if I had the date written down, I punched that in, how long the class was, if the shop paid for it, or if I paid for it myself. And I just punched them all in here and started building a database of training that I've gone to. And that way I can kind of build a list of classes that maybe I want to take again, stuff that I'm outdated on. And then I recently started doing the newer classes. I have the full date, sometimes who the instructor was. And then I started doing e-learning classes. So since I'm signed up for Subaru, I have all the e-learning that I've done. Now there's something like 70 different training programs that Subaru has for the stuff that I'm signed up for. So I still have a lot of work to do on that. And then Napa Auto Care training. If you've ever gone to a Napa class and you got the class pass or the card, then you can log into the Napa Auto Care training website. Let me pull that up. Let's see. And you can view your transcript. So I think it's under my training. Now they've changed the website, and I heard they're going to change it again. So it doesn't run the best right now. Sometimes it has glitches. Sometimes you can't connect. Sometimes it boots you off. So I don't know if they're working on that or not. Like right now, it's not working very well. It's waiting. I don't know. I don't know why. We'll come back to that one. We'll see if it loads up. But you can view your transcript of every class that you've taken that you've swiped the card in. So I was able to go back and view classes that I took, 7 or 8 years ago, and it had all the information there. Just refresh this page, and then I'm going to put a link to this down below, or it should be in the description already. This is the Napa Autotech schedule. So you punch in your zip code, punch in a radius, hit search. Depending on what you're willing to drive. Okay, nothing in my area. Being that it's a new year, they don't have the class schedules built, and CarQuest may be the same way. So I put links to all of these down below. CarQuest is a little bit different. You can search by what the keyword of the class that you want to attend, and the location. So I'm going to leave everything blank. I'm just going to hit search. I don't know if it'll go through or not. No, that didn't work. We got to have a date range, I think. I lost my place. Okay. We'll just say Colorado. And we'll say today until, we'll do the next 3 months. We'll see if anything comes up here. It should, but I think the list is probably inaccurate because I just had a meeting with our local CarQuest trainer, which he's listed right here, Tom Smith, and we helped build the curriculum of what they're going to train this year, and kind of leading us into the next couple of years. We've been doing a lot of advanced training the last 2 years, lab scopes, pulse sensors, the more advanced classes that everyone likes to watch on YouTube. But I kind of told him, I was like, well, not everyone uses the lab scope, but a lot of shops have new employees. We might need to bring in, some of the basic classes again. And another shop owner was there and he agreed. He's like, I need to train my guys on basic electrical and reading wiring diagrams. I wanted an alignment class, but he fought me on that one, so we're not doing alignment classes. They must do a lot of alignments, so they always have somebody that can train somebody else. So we have decided on brakes. We are going to do basic electrical. We're going to do electrical wiring diagrams. We're going to do HVAC. And then we're going to do two-night class on that one. The one is just an intro class, and the second one is it's like an update class. So it talks about the new Freon, new regulations, and the new procedures on the new vehicles. So that's a class that I really wanted. And luckily we got it scheduled, I think in April, maybe March, but we have it right before we get hit with our prime season. We just purchased a R1234 machine this year, like a month ago. We don't even have Freon for it yet. And actually I was supposed to talk to somebody about getting some, and I forgot. So that's something we're going to add in. But this has not just what's in my town, but this, since I didn't punch in a zip code this time, I just punched in Colorado, it's showing me the whole state of Colorado. So sometimes there might be a class that you're like, okay, that's worth me driving 100 miles to go to that class. I might have to leave work a few hours early, and I'm going to get home late, or I'm going to have to stay the night, but it would be worth it. And they give you quite a bit of information. Let's see. Now, WorldPack, if you don't have CarQuest training in your area, you might have WorldPack training. Sometimes they're the same thing, but they do have a different schedule. Now, I think when I look this up, yeah, they give you a wider range you can search for. There was maybe one class close to me, and then the rest were, here we go, Colorado Springs. Chris Martino is going to be teaching a Volkswagen body electronics and bus system. So February 1st. That's a class that I might be interested in. Now, I've never been to a WorldPack class, so I've never been registered for one. So that's something that, we don't have a package or a subscription to. and I'd probably have to pay out of pocket to go to that one, but it might be a good one to go to. We do work on a lot of Volkswagen and Audis. Not nearly as much recently as in the past. You know, the 2000 to 2005 Volkswagens were really popular and pretty cheap, so a lot of people had them in our area. As they get a little bit newer, I don't know if they're becoming a little more reliable than they were before, or if less people in my area have them. But what we're seeing now are the probably 2010 to 2015 Volkswagens and Audis. We kind of skipped that middle generation. Yeah, I can understand that, Pico. Even for me, you know, flying halfway across the country for the big training events, and that was just Super Saturday. We were there for 4 days. Only one day of training, and that was a lot of work and exhausting. So like vision and the other 3 or 4 day classes can be quite a big deal to go to. Now, luckily, you know, I didn't leave Valerie at home. She came with me because we both wanted to experience some of the new things, New York City, the subway, while we were there. So it was kind of a vacation slash training event. But I could see it could be very difficult leaving home for that amount of time. Now, do you have a lot of training available in your area, or do you have to actually go out and see the training elsewhere? While you're answering that, I'm going to talk about one more training event in Colorado. Now, everyone, a lot of people in YouTube know about Super Saturday. That's a big event in Pennsylvania from ASA. And only this year I found out that Colorado has an event very similar. Now, our event is already a 2 day event. I believe Super Saturday next year is going to be 3 days. But Colorado's done a 2 day event last year and this year. And the first day is a Friday, and it's a leadership event designed for management, and the owners of the business. But let me see. There was something like 20 classes on the Saturday. So it's called the ASA Colorado Summit, January 24th, 25th. If you're doing the technician training, then it's going to be on that Saturday, the 25th. A full day event. They have go-kart racing the night afterwards, the after party. They have sponsors. It's at, it used to be Denver Automotive and Diesel, but now it's Lincoln Tech is where it's being hosted. So I'm hoping that this event is just as good as the Super Saturday event, and that we can start building more events like this from state to state just to offer training to technicians. Because I talked to a tech the other day that told me his boss said that there's no training local. And I pulled it up on the computer. I was like, I was just at a class like 2 weeks ago near you, and here's a bunch more. So I had to give out information on that, and hopefully they can get that to their boss and get training paid for as well. So the Colorado Summit, really excited for that. We're less than a month away for that. So we'll find out how that goes, find out if it's worth going to next year. I registered 6 people for that one. So I'm going to the Friday class. Now, luckily my ticket was reduced because I have teaching credentials as well. So I'm going to go to the Friday and the Saturday class. Valerie is going to go to the Friday and Saturday class as well. She is going to take some management courses. Now, they may not directly relate to the stuff that she does, but if she can pick up some information off of it, if she picks up information that helps me out, plus she takes way better notes than I do, so that'll be a benefit, then it'll be worth it. Now, I'm also sponsoring, now if you know Mario from Super Mario Auto Diagnostics, he lives down in Florida. His brother lives within an hour from me, so he lives in Colorado. I'm sponsoring him to go to the event, so he's going to go up with us, do some training, hopefully have time to hang out and race some go-karts. And then let's see, who else? I think my brother's going to go. He's going to take an Autel class and a productivity class. He's got an Autel. He's the only one in the shop that uses an Autel. So he figured it'd be a good class to take. I have another tech that's taking alignments and advanced lighting. Talks about the new adaptive lighting and the interior lighting strategies, and I think some of even the entry lighting. So he's going to do that. My dad is going to take some management classes. Was that it? I think that's. I don't know. There were 6 of us. We have 2 technicians at the shop and 2 service writers that decided they either their schedule was conflicting with the event or that they just couldn't go or didn't want to go. So hopefully we can decide if the management side of that is something where we should be sending them and make it mandatory, or if we have to find training to bring it to the shop. Which leads me to Patrick. He's doing the alignment and the lighting one. Yeah, the online training, I do like it because you can pause it and you can walk away and use the restroom or get a drink or go to the store and come back and pick up. Or if you get tired, that's a problem I have when I go to in-class training after working 12 hours, is I have a hard time staying awake. So if you're doing it at home, you can watch it for a couple hours and pause it and come back to it later. The area that I'm in, I'm 40 miles from 2 different bigger cities where they have training. We don't have training in our town. A lot of people don't go to training because of that. We work from 7:30 until 5:30, and then we drive to training, and then we have training until 10 o'clock at night and drive home. And it's 11 o'clock by the time you get home. Another one of my techs lives 30 miles from our shop, so he has to drive up the mountain to his house, and so he's getting home at 11:30 at night, and then he has to be back to work in the morning, which he has a long drive. So it's really hard for some of my technicians to go to training. So I reached out to Bren Klein from Trained by Techs. He's also got a shop in Florida and also does training with CarQuest, and said, hey, can we do a Snap-on lab scope class in my area? And we're working out the details for that. So that is going to be a full day hands-on class in Colorado for Snap-on scopes. Now, why did I pick Snap-on over Pico? Well, in January, Bren is teaching the Pico scope class at the Colorado Summit. And as far as I know, I'm one of the only people in my town that has a Pico scope. So why bring a scope class into town for me when I'm pretty proficient in using it? And every other shop in town has a Snap-on scanner that they use as a code reader, but it also has a scope built in that they've rarely ever used. And if they have used it, it was just for checking voltage or checking draws. So they are going to, you got 6 minutes until New Year's. We'll give you a pause whenever that time comes. So we have to kind of cater to what's available to all of our technicians. If 90% of the shops out there have a Snap-on scope, then that's the class that we should be offering, because there's only a couple shops that actually use it as a lab scope or have actually done training with it and use it more than just a multimeter and a code reader. So that's why I chose to bring in the Snap-on scope. And hey, Jason, how's it going? And I think it'll be a beneficial thing. And if that, now it's expensive, since it's a full day hands-on class, I think we're going to be looking at around $200 a technician. But I asked CarQuest, my trainer from CarQuest, how much their hands-on classes are, and they're substantially higher than that. Depending on how many people you can bring in, depending on what class it is. You can only fit so many people around an alignment machine, for instance. And I think those classes are capped at around 10. So if you have a bigger class and maybe 2 instructors and you have multiple vehicles set up, sorry, bumping the microphone, then it's easier to teach those people. And I'll assist where I can. Obviously, I want to learn to see what Bren has to offer, because I'm not real proficient with the Snap-on scope. I prefer to use the Pico over the Snap-on. I've been using the Snap-on more and more in my live streams just to become proficient with it, so that I can demonstrate using that tool in the live streams, because most people out there have a Snap-on scope. So I'm really looking forward to that. I guess you guys have been looking at primarily a small image of me and this other thing in the background. Let's see if the dashboard came up. Okay, so this, back to the Napa training website. It shows me what current classes I'm registered for. Now, these were ones that I picked myself. I logged in, picked these ones. I want to do the L1 Advanced Engine Performance class. It's a 2-hour class, and I'm hoping that that'll help prepare me for the L1 that I'm taking on Saturday. And then delegating for growth and communication for service sales. I want to be rounded for any department of the shop. I want to have a certification. If I expect my guys to have a certification, I'm going to have it. So those are stuff that I'm planning on doing here shortly. You can click on your transcript if it loads and see all the classes that you've gone to, whether they were e-learning or actual hands-on classes. So if you go through, if you log into your thing, and logging into the new system is kind of difficult. If you have issues, call tech support. But they have all of these other classes that you can get certificates on. I'm not sure if that's the same one. Oh, my certificates. That's my transcript. So that's about it. I just wanted to talk about some new training options, some of the stuff that we are going to be doing, some of my goals. Now we're back to the Godzilla movie with out of sync audio. And I don't know, I really I also want to hear from you guys what you guys want to see more from us. Me and Valerie are pretty flexible on our live streams. Sometimes we do repair, sometimes we do diagnostic videos. Sometimes it's a video like this where we're just kind of going over some thoughts and chit-chatting. I know I haven't been participating a whole lot in the audience, but I haven't seen a ton of questions for me yet, which is perfectly fine. Michael Nicholson joining us right at the end here. But we what do you guys want to see from my channel? Obviously, I do repair videos whenever I can. I still have a bunch of Biscayne, the LS swap videos to edit, which I have to finish that project. And we are going to keep doing the live streams. What I really want to do is I want to get kind of a cart or a mobile bench set up with all of my stuff on it for live streaming. And make it to where we can set up the live stream faster and more efficiently, because then I think we're going to be more likely to do the live streams on a regular basis. Now, I think Jason, Michael Nicholson, you sponsored the ticket that Keith gave to Jason during one of their live streams to go to Super Saturday. And I just want to know, was that super beneficial to you to get some free training? I don't know how much training you've had previously, or if there's a regular training schedule that you've been to, or if that was kind of like your first glimpse into the training world. I kind of figured to do the same thing with Mario's brother. I don't know if he knows a lot of people in Colorado, if he just works his butt off and that's it. But I figured I wanted to get him into some of the training that he maybe didn't know about and that's been available to him, and kind of get him on the path to becoming a great tech. A day in the life of TPM. Oh man, I don't know how I would edit that. I'll give you a quick rundown. I wake up, but my dog wakes me up about 3:45 in the morning every day. Now, when the time changes, it'll be 4:45, but still 3:45 every day to go outside and use the restroom, even though I put her out at night and she doesn't drink water when she's sleeping. But she goes, wakes me up, put her outside, I go back to bed for an hour or so. I get up at 4:45 to 5 o'clock, get ready for work. I go to the shop and pick up my area, kind of look at the schedule, do a few things, and then at 7 a.m. I go to the school. Oh, Happy New Year. It's that time for some of us. In Colorado, we still got 3 hours. So 7 o'clock, I leave the shop and go to the school for teaching, not for training. And I teach Intro to Auto Shop, class ends at 9. Class actually starts at 8 o'clock, but I get there early to get stuff set up. Class ends at 9:30. I leave their school about 9:45. Get back to the shop around 10 o'clock, and then I work until anywhere from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, depending on how behind I am. And then I come home and edit videos, or do online training, or watch TV, or fall straight asleep. It kind of kind of depends on the day. So that's a day in the life for me. Yeah, I kind of went a few years. I'm just reading Orville's comment: "A day without growing is a sad day." I went a few years without taking a whole lot of training courses. I bought my Picoscope back in 2013, and I used it a lot for the first couple of years, and then I kind of talked myself out of using it, out of setting it up, because 90% of the time I was just proving stuff that was good. And I got out of touch with using it, and I had to relearn how to use it, and then I got more involved with training. And when I got involved with YouTube especially, and watching, I never watched mechanics on YouTube until probably 3 or 4 years ago. Started watching mechanics on YouTube, doing diagnostic stuff, just doing repairs, and it kind of re-encouraged me to start learning again. Watching Scanner Danner, and knowing that he was a teacher, and teaching all these classes. You're not, my cat's trying to squeeze through a really small space, and he's not the most graceful. But watching Paul Danner with his channel encouraged me to start using the lab scope more, and then the opportunity came for me to become a teacher, and it was a tough call, but I thought that it would really help me grow in my YouTube environment, because most of the time when I'm showing you guys how to do something, I'm not just doing it to do it. I'm doing it to share knowledge, or teach something, or teach the way I do something. And some of the basic stuff I overlook because it's just ingrained in the back of my head. So the teaching at the school, I can start technicians off at a young age. We're starting with kids, 14 years old, maybe. I think I have 14, 15. And I'm teaching some basic automotive stuff, and then basic electrical. So it's kind of rekindled the fire of the basics for me, and starting to build them up, and then we put them through some of the advanced courses if they have time in the high school. So I think that all of that put together, and then me starting the YouTube channel, has really made me learn to want and seek training. And I've gone to more training courses and attended more training seminars in the last year than I probably have in the last 5 years. Yeah, we I don't know if it's a specific flavor of my channel. We're kind of all over the place. We give you like the 5-course meal. I'm not sure if we've had dessert yet. Have we had dessert yet, Valerie? She has her earphones in, so she'll hear me in like 5 seconds. But yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. I do know that I run on and on and on. I don't normally overcomplicate stuff, but I make it take longer than it should to explain it. If you compare my channel to Keith's channel, I think Keith watches me at like double speed, and sometimes I have to slow his down. Yeah, I'm just catching up on comments. Pico, we get discouraged with Diag because our boss doesn't understand what goes into it. Bring vehicle in for an hour, and then you have to park it out and do brakes, tires, etc. So there is some shops that believe that diagnostics are a waste of money, and it's kind of a sad thing. And eventually that'll change, because they will end up losing too much money guessing on the repairs. So if some shops believe that if you bring a vehicle in, you scan the codes, and you might, maybe if you have Identifix, check Identifix. But if you just replace the part like AutoZone would based off of the code, and you throw the part at it, and you charge a lot of other shops charge free or don't charge for diagnostics, so you have free diagnostics, and then you get the labor for the install of the part, and you get the markup on your part. Okay, so that's sale. That customer never comes back. Yeah, you made your money. Customer does come back. Light came on again. Oh, this time it's not the purge solenoid. I know we had an evap code for the purge solenoid, but it wasn't the purge solenoid. It was last time, but now it's not this time. Now you need a gas cap and this other stuff. So you finish replacing all the parts in the system, and you throw more parts at it. Well, now you got another labor charge. You got another parts charge, and you haven't taken a whole lot of time to diagnose it and spend the time and the equipment and the money. So the shop is making more money. So a lot of people think that I'll make more money if I do it the semi-shady way instead of actually spending the time to diagnose it properly, and or diagnose instead of triagnose. So that's kind of one thing that we're battling, and I think as vehicles get more complex and parts get more expensive, and people start to not trust the shops. They already don't trust shops anyways, but it's going to become an issue where they're going to have a trained technician or bring in a mobile mechanic. Like Keith, he services 240 some shops over on Staten Island, and most of the shops bring him in as a last chance of this vehicle. It's already been in and had all these other parts replaced, and they can't figure it out. They just bring in Keith. It's easier to pay him an hour or two to check it out than to have their guy wasting time on it and not get anywhere when that guy could be doing a brake job or clutch or transmission. I think that moving forward, it'll be a little more strict. There's going to be more consequences. I do wish that there was, more of a certification that's required in every state. Almost everyone in my shop is ASE certified. I have 2 technicians that are newer into the industry, my brother, and I have one more. And my brother doesn't have any ASEs yet, but he's been with us for 2 or 3 years, and we're pushing him now that he has the experience to go take the test. So that's something that we're going to work on this year, is getting him air conditioning certified, the ASE 609, and then at least get a couple of the basic ASE certifications as well. And then my other technician, I think he has steering, suspension, and brakes. But I always encourage people to continue their education and push themselves to learn more. Just like I push myself to get the ASE certifications, and I always think that I need to have every certification that any of my guys have. I mean, already I'm not even working at the same shop as PJ, and he got the L3, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to get the L3. I can't let PJ beat me, but until PJ gets the A9, I don't think I have too much to worry about. So we're going to work on that. Actually, I have 2 technicians that need their ASE or the EPA 609. So we'll get that taken care of. And then my dad, we need to push on him. His certifications are expired. I have another technician with expired certifications, and then mine expire in June. So I have 10 recertifications to do before June. Yeah, it is disappointing when you break the scope out and immediately you can feel the mood change with the management. And I do it. Sometimes I'll waste 4 or 5 hours on something to not find anything wrong, and it's just part of it. Sometimes you break the scope out and you see it right away, and sometimes you don't. Jason, I appreciate that. I really that was the whole point of the live diagnostics and repairs. Especially the diagnostics is, a lot of those vehicles I do preliminary checks to find out what direction we're going in, and hopefully it's something that I'm capable of repairing in the shop. And I might even order parts that I don't know if I need or not, just so we can have a proof of repair. But I do appreciate feedback like that you guys enjoy it and enjoy participating. I I know as my channel gets bigger, that'll become a little more difficult because of the volume of people. But I still think that since it's a more advanced part of it, we won't have the everyday or the DIY people just chatting in nonsense. I think mostly the technicians of our industry and even the experienced DIYers are going to be in there suggesting stuff or even just lurking in the background to learn because it is a learning experience for all of us. That throttle control issue we had the other day, I'm still trying to edit the video, the follow-up video to that. That was a pain. It was something I wasn't familiar with, and I know I didn't get to all the tests that people wanted me to get to, but at the same time, I got kind of overwhelmed and I got, something out of my league of what I normally do. Just so you guys know on that one, if you did participate in that one, it was not a throttle body. I called up the dealership to see if they had any advice. They're like, "Oh, we have a throttle body that we plug in to find out if it's a throttle body." So going back to the whole triagnose before you diagnose, they have a known good part sitting on the shelf, and you could tell that the box had been taped up a bunch of times. So I got it, plugged it in, still had the same issue, and found out if I flexed the PCM, I could get the issue to come and go. So the customer was going to pull the PCM and send it out to get repaired. Okay, Pico on that one there. Jeep Wrangler. I've had several of those kick my butt on misfires on startup, especially on just like the first 30 seconds to a minute. What kind of Jeep Wrangler inline six? Is it a newer one or an older one?
Can you do me a favor?
Huh.
Can you give Pico a blue wrench? I'm going to be in and out with your stream. Thank you.
Oh, I'm hearing fireworks going off in the background. So on those Jeeps, whenever I have a misfire on startup only, and it might even run rough and cut out and lose all power and stall, I monitor the O2 sensors. So I'll do closed loop for bank 1 and 2 and the O2 sensors. And what happens sometimes is Chrysler, for whatever reason, even when the engine's cold or hot, when you first start it, as soon as it sees one of the upstream O2 sensors start to switch, it goes into closed loop for both banks. And if the other O2 sensor is running a little slow, it's normally higher voltage, so it starts pulling all the fuel and causes it to run bad or start lacking power. I see it primarily in the trying to remember what the Liberty. We've had several issues on the Jeep Liberty with the 3.8 and a few times on the inline 6. So that's one thing that you might check. Not saying that that's what it is, but I've lost my butt on a few of those. And the one, getting the information from the customer that he said he was in traffic and every once in a while would just lose all power and he thought the fuel pump was bad and the fuel pump was testing good and we couldn't get it act up. But he wasn't telling us that while he was stopped in traffic, he would shut the truck off to save gas and then start it back up when traffic would start going again. And when he would accelerate, it would fall on its face and almost stall. So that's one thing you might check if you haven't checked it already. Let's see. Driving up an incline in third or fourth. It's a manual. Fuel trims are staying slightly rich. Okay, that's probably not the issue. I don't know. What other issues did those have? Those had valve issues. Someone else said lifters and rockers. Yeah, those had all kinds of issues. If there's any other questions, we'll answer those. And otherwise, I think we'll start to wrap it up. Did you guys have any questions on the training? I know not all of this training will be accessible to you in your area, but at least I put links in the description below for the Napa training calendar, the CarQuest CTI, and the WorldPack calendar. Now, there are other online training websites that you can go to. TST seminars, I think you can get a bunch there. I don't know all of them. I just know the ones that I've used in the past. So if there's other ones out there, you guys can put those in the comments, and then I can add them to the description later. But since we have the weird audio sync issue, this video probably won't remain on the internet for too long. We'll leave it up for a couple weeks, and then we'll drop it down. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I know some of you are probably getting ready to go to your New Year's Eve parties and celebrations. Other of you are probably up past your bedtime. And we normally don't stay up and celebrate, so we'll probably head out here in a few minutes. So I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Links in the description down below. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll get something set up for another live diag. But my training is kind of busy this month. Next month, maybe we can get something going. And then in March, we have another big jump of training. So those of you that it's not a new year yet, stay safe out there. Happy New Year's Eve and Happy New Year's Day, because I probably won't be on here tomorrow. I will try to answer questions tomorrow if you've left questions or comments on other videos. You never sleep. Yeah, Valerie never sleeps. Okay, see you guys later. Thanks.
Bye.
And Valerie's saying bye.